At this very moment, the doors to secret meetings that will determine the fate of the global economy are opening. Forget everything you know, because real power is never displayed in shop windows. Power in the shadows. The year is 1954. Europe is still healing the wounds of World War II, while America is striving to solidify its new position as a superpower. In the quiet Dutch town of Oosterbeek, at the Hotel de Bilderberg, an unprecedented meeting is taking place. Completely isolated from the outside world, this gathering brings together the most influential figures from Europe and America. The architect of this meeting was Polish-born politician Joseph Rettinger. Rettinger's vision was simple yet revolutionary: to bring together the elite powers on both sides of the Atlantic to shape the course of global politics. However, this seemingly innocent gathering laid the foundations for what would become the world's most controversial economic power center in the years to come. Among those attending the first meeting were some of the most powerful figures of the time: David Rockefeller, Prince Bernhard, Dean Acheson, and leading European industrialists. These individuals were not only political figures but also economic actors controlling billions of dollars. Throughout the meeting, the doors remained tightly closed, the press waited outside, and security was at its highest level. The official purpose of the Bilderberg Group is stated as strengthening European-American cooperation. However, the topics discussed at the table are much more comprehensive: currencies, trade agreements, energy policies, and the future of the global economic system. These discussions are not merely exchanges of ideas. The decisions made at the meetings shape the global economy. After that first meeting in 1954, the Bilderberg Group began to meet regularly every year. Each meeting takes place in a different country, at a different luxury hotel. While the list of participants changes every year, the core structure remains the same: bankers, industrialists, politicians, academics, and media moguls. These individuals are not only the pulse of their countries but also of the global economy. The secrecy surrounding the meetings has led to significant speculation over time. The press is not allowed to attend the meetings, no minutes are published, and what is discussed is not shared with the public. This situation further thickens the cloud of mystery surrounding Bilderberg. Critics argue that this secrecy is contrary to democracy and that it is unacceptable for unelected individuals to determine the future of the world. In the 1962nd, under the influence of the Cold War, Bilderberg meetings took on an even more strategic dimension. Issues such as the economic and political integration of the Western world were put on the table. The decisions made during this period directly influenced the establishment of the European Union, the expansion of NATO, and the shaping of the global trade system in the years that followed. The economic dimension of the meetings is particularly noteworthy. Among the participants are the leaders of the world's largest banks, oil companies, and technology giants. When these individuals come together, they not only exchange views but also set global economic strategies. Decisions made on issues such as oil prices, exchange rates, and interest rates directly affect the lives of billions of people. In the snow-covered peaks of the Swiss Alps, the small ski town of Davos hosts the world's most powerful economic actors every January. Officially established to promote global cooperation, this meeting, held under the name of the World Economic Forum, is in fact the scene of secret negotiations that determine the fate of the world economy. Founded in 1971 by Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum was initially conceived as a modest gathering for European business leaders. However, it quickly evolved into the most important summit of global capitalism. Today, participation in Davos is not only a measure of wealth, but also a symbol of global power. Those who can sit at the table here are at the helm of economic empires that control a significant portion of the world's GDP. Davos's true power is not evident in official sessions, but in private dinners and closed-door meetings. These side meetings, held in the private lounges of luxury hotels outside the conference center, are where real decisions are made. Here, bankers, CEOs of tech giants, oil company executives, and hedge fund managers come together to determine the economic strategies for the coming year. What happened in Davos just before the 2008 financial crisis demonstrates how influential these meetings are. At the 2007 meeting, representatives of major banks held private discussions about the state of the mortgage market. Some investors who participated in these discussions were able to minimize their losses from the greatest economic collapse in history by restructuring their portfolios before the crisis. This situation shows that Davos is not only a forum for ideas, but also a platform for the flow of inside information. Davos also plays a key role in shaping the technological revolution. Since the 1992nd, prominent figures from Silicon Valley have begun to regularly attend Davos. Decisions made during this period regarding the commercialization of internet technologies, digital currencies, and artificial intelligence investments have been influential in shaping the trajectory of the technology sector. Figures such as Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk have shaped their companies' strategies based on feedback received at Davos meetings. The Davos effect is also clearly visible in the transformations in the energy sector. Private meetings between oil company executives and renewable energy investors play a role in determining the speed and direction of the energy transition. At these meetings, critical decisions are made regarding which energy projects will be supported in which countries and which technologies will be invested in. Davos's impact on financial markets is also quite tangible. During the forum, global markets closely monitor the decisions made and statements made at the meeting. Statements made by major investors at Davos can directly affect stock prices, exchange rates, and commodity markets. This situation makes Davos not just a meeting, but also a center where global economic movements are directed. In recent years, sustainability and environmental issues have also risen to the top of the agenda at Davos. However, the way these issues are addressed has drawn criticism. Billionaires arriving by private jet discuss climate change while simultaneously making investment decisions that increase their carbon footprint. This contradiction raises questions about Davos's true intentions. Every year in the last week of August, the town of Jackson Hole, located in the remote mountainous region of Wyoming, hosts secret meetings where some of the most critical decisions in world financial history are made. Although officially presented as an academic event, this symposium, organized by the Kansas City Federal Reserve Bank, is in fact a secret institution that plays a key role in determining global monetary policy. The history of the Jackson Hole Symposium dates back to 1978, but it gained its true significance in the 1992nd. During this period, the profile of symposium participants began to change. Not only academics, but also central bank governors, economists from major investment banks, and hedge fund managers began to be invited. This change fundamentally transformed the character of the symposium. The true power of the symposium lies in the speech delivered each year by the Federal Reserve Chairman. This speech is closely monitored by global markets, at least as closely as a central bank interest rate decision. This is because statements made at Jackson Hole typically contain the first signals of monetary policies to be implemented in the coming months. Ben Bernanke's warnings about the housing bubble in 2005, hints about the QE program in 2010, and Powell's comments on trade wars in 2018 were all first mentioned at Jackson Hole. However, the symposium's real impact is not seen in the official sessions, but in private dinners and closed-door meetings. At the Jackson Lake Lodge, nestled at the foot of the Grand Teton Mountains, the most powerful figures in the global financial system gather to determine the strategies for the coming period. Critical issues such as the direction of interest rates, the focus on specific asset classes, and the strengthening of certain currencies are discussed at these meetings. Following the 2008 financial crisis, Jackson Hole's role has become even more critical. The details of quantitative easing, QE programs, are shaped at these meetings. Decisions on which instruments will be used for central banks' trillion-dollar liquidity injections, which assets will be purchased, and how long these purchases will last are made at Jackson Hole. These decisions affect not only the US, but the entire global financial system. Senior executives from institutions such as the European Central Bank, the Bank of England, and the Bank of Japan also regularly attend the symposium. This participation creates a secret forum for global monetary policy coordination. Joint action plans are determined on issues such as ensuring harmony between the policies of different central banks, managing global liquidity flows, and stabilizing exchange rates. With the rise of the technology sector, digital currencies and fintech issues are also rising to the top of the agenda in Jackson Hole. Topics such as CBDC, central bank, digital currency projects, cryptocurrency regulations, and the role of blockchain technology in the financial system are taking shape at these meetings. The invitation of prominent figures from Silicon Valley to the symposium is accelerating the integration process between the technology and finance sectors. Jackson Hole's influence is also beginning to be felt in the areas of climate change and sustainable finance. Decisions on issues such as the standardization of ESG investments, the regulation of green bonds, and the development of carbon pricing mechanisms are directing trillions of dollars in investment flows. The participation of major fund managers active in this field in the symposium is bringing Jackson Hole into a central role in shaping the sustainable finance ecosystem. The symposium's impact does not stop at the policy-making stage. The relationships established at Jackson Hole translate into significant collaborations between the private sector and public authorities in the following months. The close relationships that major banks establish with central banks provide an advantage in regulatory processes and enable the flow of leading information on market movements. The town of Boao, located on China's Hainan Island, has become the most important economic powerhouse in the Asia-Pacific region over the past 2 decades. While the Boao Forum for Asia appears to have been established to promote regional cooperation, it actually serves as a secret platform for China to build its global economic hegemony. This forum offers an Asian alternative to Western-centric organizations such as Davos and Bilderberg, while also laying the foundations for a new world order. Founded in 2001, the Boao Forum initially appeared to aim at strengthening economic integration among Asian countries. However, as China's economic power grew, the forum quickly evolved into a global platform. Today, participation in Boao is recognized not only in Asia, but worldwide as a sign of economic influence. With high-level participation from numerous countries, from Russia to Brazil, Germany to South Africa, the forum has become one of the most important tools of China's soft power strategy. The forum's true strength is evident in the special sessions where the details of China's Belt and Road Initiative (BRI) project are determined. In these sessions, the countries and conditions for trillion-dollar infrastructure investments are determined. Representatives of participating countries hold private meetings with Chinese companies to secure the most advantageous agreements for their countries. In this process, traditional diplomatic channels are bypassed, and economic power is directly converted into political influence. The financial dimension of Boao is also quite striking. The strategies of Chinese-backed multilateral development banks, such as the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, AIIB, and the New Development Bank, are shaped at these forum meetings. Critical decisions such as the credit policies of these banks, which projects will be prioritized, and which countries will be supported, are made in Boao. This approach, which challenges the hegemony of traditional Western financial institutions such as the World Bank and the IMF, is leading to significant transformations in the global financial system. Technology transfer and the digital economy are also high on Boao's agenda. Executives from Chinese tech giants such as Alibaba, Tencent, Huawei, and Xiaomi share their global expansion strategies at forum meetings. These exchanges are not only a transfer of commercial information, but also the establishment of technological dependency relationships. China's global dominance in areas such as 5-gram technology, artificial intelligence, and e-commerce platforms is largely made possible by the relationships established at Boao. Energy security is also a critical agenda item at the forum. China's efforts to balance its growing energy needs with its climate change commitments are discussed in detail at the Boao meetings. Agreements on renewable energy technologies, nuclear power, and natural gas trade directly affect global energy markets. China's rise to world leadership in solar panel and wind turbine technologies has been largely achieved through strategic partnerships established in Boao. Currency policies and international payment systems also occupy an important place on the forum's hidden agenda. Issues such as the internationalization of the yuan, the development of alternative payment mechanisms to the SWIFT system, and the global expansion of the digital yuan project are discussed in detail at Boao. These discussions constitute the most serious challenge to the dollar's position as the global reserve currency. Boao's role has become even more critical in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. China's pioneering approaches to issues such as the restructuring of global supply chains, the strengthening of healthcare systems, and the acceleration of digital transformation have taken shape at these forum meetings. Boao's influence in determining post-pandemic economic recovery strategies has surpassed even traditional Western forums, such as Davos. The Federal Reserve's Eccles Building in Washington may look like an ordinary government agency from the outside, but it is actually the center of the world's most secretive and powerful financial network. While the Fed's official meetings and statements are made public, the system's actual operations take place behind closed doors, under the control of a select group of bankers and financiers. This secret network holds the pulse not only of the American economy but of the global economy as well. The Federal Reserve System itself is essentially a private entity. Established in 1913, the system is technically composed of regional Fed banks owned by private banks. The New York Federal Reserve Bank holds a special position within this system. This institution, considered the heart of Wall Street, serves as the central hub for secret operations controlling global dollar flows. Decisions made here impact not only the United States but the entire world that uses the dollar. While the president of the New York Fed is officially accountable to the Federal Reserve Board in Washington, in practice, they report to a board of directors composed of representatives from megabanks such as J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Citibank, and Bank of America. These banks are also shareholders and primary customers of the Federal Reserve System. This situation implies that America's monetary policy is essentially determined by the private banking sector. Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC, meetings are the Fed's most critical decision-making mechanism. However, the minutes of these meetings are only published 5 years later and reflect only part of the actual discussions. The real critical decisions are made in private consultations before and after the meetings. These consultations involve not only Fed officials but also senior executives from major banks. The Fed's interventions during the 2008 crisis revealed the true power of this secret network. Critical decisions such as the rescue of Bear Stearns, the trillion-dollar bailout of AIG, and the collapse of Lehman Brothers were known within Wall Street's inner circle, long before they were shared with the public through official statements. This information enabled some institutions to turn the crisis into an opportunity, while others were completely wiped out. Quantitative easing programs also demonstrate how the Fed's secret network operates. While the trillion-dollar bond purchases were officially presented as measures to stimulate the economy, their true purpose was to clean up the balance sheets of major banks and prop up asset prices. The details of these programs were known to select Wall Street circles months before they were implemented. The Fed's international operations are also conducted in a highly secretive manner. Interbank swap lines, providing dollar liquidity to foreign central banks and stabilizing the global financial system, are used as tools for the Fed's international power projection. Decisions regarding how much support to provide to which countries and which countries to exclude are determined in line with America's geopolitical interests. The digital dollar project and CBDC studies are also an important part of the Fed's secret agenda. Research on blockchain technology and central digital currencies is being kept from the public. Once these studies are completed, global payment systems will be completely transformed, and America's financial hegemony will be carried into the digital age. The Fed's relationships with major technology companies are another aspect that is kept secret. The financial service initiatives of companies such as Apple, Google, and Amazon are shaped under the Fed's close supervision. As these companies' payment systems, digital wallets, and financial products transform the traditional banking system, the Fed's control grows even stronger. In the sleek offices of Silicon Valley, the CEOs and founders of the world's largest technology companies are not only developing new products, but also holding secret meetings that shape the future of the global economy. These meetings are far more effective and results-oriented than traditional financial forums like Bilderberg or Davos. Because tech giants are no longer just companies, they now function like governments, issuing their own currencies, providing banking services, and controlling global trade. Senior executives from companies like Apple, Google, Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft hold private meetings at least once a month. These meetings typically take place at private estates in California's Napa Valley, luxury resorts in Colorado's Aspen, or isolated resorts on the Hawaiian Islands. Participation in these meetings is by invitation only, and the list of attendees is never shared with the public. The agenda of these secret meetings includes issues far more critical than determining the technology trends of the next decade. While topics such as digital currencies, decentralized financial systems, the artificial intelligence economy, metaverse commerce, and quantum computing applications are discussed, the foundations of a new economic order are being laid. In this order, the roles of traditional banks, central banks, and even national governments are being limited. Meta's Libra, later renamed Diem, project was one of the outcomes of these secret meetings. Led by Mark Zuckerberg, this project aimed to create a global digital currency and establish an economy independent of the traditional financial system. The project was put on hold due to regulatory pressures, but it demonstrated the serious intentions of tech giants to create their own currency. This project was actually the first concrete step toward the independent digital economy vision that had been discussed for years in Silicon Valley's secret meetings. Amazon's efforts to extend its e-commerce hegemony into the financial sector are also a product of these meetings. Services like Amazon Pay, Amazon Lending, and Amazon Cash are part of the company's strategy to bypass the traditional banking system. Under Jeff Bezos's leadership, Amazon has developed a credit evaluation system that traditional banks lack by analyzing the shopping data of billions of users. This system bypasses credit card companies and banks, effectively turning Amazon into a direct financial institution. Google's Alphabet economic network is perhaps the most complex. Through platforms like Google Pay, Google Cloud Banking, and Google Shopping, the company plays an intermediary role in global commerce. However, Google's true power lies in its control over 90% of global internet traffic. This control not only generates advertising revenue for the company, but also gives it the power to predict and influence global economic trends. Google's search algorithms determine which companies will be visible, which products will be sold, and which ideas will spread. Apple's closed ecosystem strategy is also the result of these secret meetings. Under Tim Cook's leadership, Apple has successfully kept its users captive within its own digital world, generating continuous revenue from them. The 30% commission it receives from the App Store, transaction fees from Apple Pay, and iCloud subscription revenues have made Apple one of the world's largest financial service providers. The company's cash reserves exceed the GDP of most countries. The most critical outcome of these tech giants coming together is the control of the data economy. Companies like Facebook, Google, and Amazon collect the personal data of billions of people and convert it into economic value. This data is not only used for advertising revenue, but also to determine credit scores, calculate insurance premiums, and evaluate job applications. This means that people's economic destinies are being determined by technology companies. The economic applications of artificial intelligence technologies are also important agenda items at these secret meetings. The work of research units such as OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and Meta AI is not limited to developing technology. These technologies will transform labor markets, eliminate traditional professions, and create new economic classes. How this transformation will be managed, which sectors will be affected first, and how to address unemployment issues are among the topics being decided at the secret meetings of tech giants. The metaverse economy is one of the areas shaped by these meetings. Topics such as time spent in virtual worlds, trading virtual assets, and digital identity management will turn into a $1 trillion market in the future. Questions such as who will set the rules for this market, which company will dominate which area, and how trade between virtual worlds will work are already being discussed by tech giants. With the maturation of quantum computing technology, the reliability of existing encryption systems will be undermined. This situation will leave financial systems, government communications, and military networks completely vulnerable. Questions such as who will develop quantum-resistant encryption systems, who will control these systems, and which company will gain power through quantum supremacy are critical items on the tech giant's secret agenda. As a result, control over the global economy has shifted from traditional financial centers to technology companies. Silicon Valley is taking the place of financial centers like Wall Street, London City, and Frankfurt. This transformation is not only technological but also changes the balance of power. In the future, economic decisions will be made not by elected governments but by the CEOs of technology companies. And this process is determined not through transparent democratic processes but in secret meetings.